The ATP Tour, rip it up, live and exclusive on Supersport.
We're at Tarleton International Raceway for the first race of the RFS 400, round one of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship. I'm Derek Alberts, and with me is well-known motoring guru Gary Formato. Hi there, Gary.
Hi there, Derek. Yes, excitement mounts as we enter a new season of racing, kicking off at Tarleton, about 10 kilometers outside of Magalies. We have a brand new series sponsor in Donaldson. Well, once again, RFS is back as race sponsor.
Duncan Foss and Rob Howie had a superb 2012, winning the production vehicle category in their Castrol Toyota, but the team expects a far tougher 2013.
I think we're going to have a different championship this year. The new car from Ford looks very good. Thomas Rundle is back, and we know that Thomas has got good speed, so it'll be interesting. Gary Bertolt's moving into a new car, so I think the championship's going to be quite wild out there.
I think it's going to be a very tough year. You know, coming up here, I was sitting in the car driving for 6 hours thinking how many people could win this race, and it's almost any one of, I think, 10 cars that could win the race and win the championship. It's really, really competitive. The factory teams are good, the privateer teams are also amazing, you know, how much money they put into the sport and just how professional they are. So it's really, I think, going to be a tough race and a tough season.
It's never easy to stay number one, that's for sure. There's only one way to go, so we've put a lot of effort into making sure that we try and maintain that, and the championship's long. Anthony was really fast at the end of last year, and more consistent. His speed's never really been in question, so I think we could have a nice year, and Anthony could throw a few surprises out there.
Yeah, we've had the likes of Natalie Dutoy, John T. Rhodes race in the past. This time it's Heinz Winkler who will ride alongside Archie Rutherford.
I'm excited. I'm so green, it's not even funny. I've had one short trial run just to get a hang of things. But yeah, today it gets real.
South Africa's first ever Idols winner is in good hands in the Nissan Navara, Rutherford being a former SA champion.
And they're off. I hope Winkler and Rutherford won't be chasing shadows all day, Derek.
Gary, that's terrible. Now the prologue is underway, and there we have Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable in their new Ford Racing Ranger. We saw Lance's dad Neil speaking a little earlier.
They definitely are title contenders, as are these men, Christian Deploy and Henk Janssen van Vuren in their BMW X3. This is around 28 kilometers into the prologue, which is 60 kilometers in total.
Speaking of titles, here we have the men who claimed the title last year, Duncan Foss and Rob Howie in their Hilux.
Yeah, they were brilliant last year, as were Toyota, who won all championships on offer. And here we have Thomas Rundle and Jean Moore in their Regent Racing Navara. Of course, coming back after a 12-month sabbatical, getting ready for 2013.
We're on to the other Ford Ranger, driven by former champions Chris Fiss and Jabi Badenhorst, who were victorious in this race last year, and they'll be serious challengers once more.
The privateers are also well represented, with Malcolm Koch and Johan Berger in their Toyota Hilux, who also missed a large part of last year. Another Hilux following suit, Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau maneuvering their way around the tricky course, and doing so with aplomb so far.
Certainly is a tricky track, and of course far better to enter the prologue later, so that you have the benefits of front runners opening the route, but there's no hiding from the dust.
No, not at all, especially for one Michael Whitehouse, who despite the elements seems to be handling his brand new Nissan really solidly.
Here we have the celeb team of Archie Rutherford and Heinz Winkler, the singer experiencing cross-country racing for the first time, and given that they're not lost, he's doing pretty well.
And just to give you the top three in the prologue: Lance Woolridge, Ward Huxtable in the Ford Ranger, Christian Deploy and Henk Janssen van Vuren in the BMW X3, Duncan Foss and Rob Howie in the Toyota Hilux.
On to the specials. Now let's hear from Evan Hutchison, defending champion in the Class A with his Motorite racing bat.
Quite proud to have number one on the door again, and this year we're going to try and defend it better than we have in the past. Never managed to do it 2 years in a row, so that's going to be my major challenge for the year.
but there's a lot of good challenges out there, so it's never going to be easy. We're in the process of building ourselves a new car. Should be ready by the following race, maybe the one after that. But yeah, otherwise everything will stay the same.
Exciting times ahead for Hutchison and co-driver Danny Stassen, but first, the prologue.
Here's the KZN pair of Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell, who almost didn't make the race after experiencing trouble with their transporter en route to the event.
There are no problems for the father and son team of Herman and Vichard Silvalt, racing in their brand new Cobalt Striker. Still another family outfit, the Zeely brothers. They're in their Porter.
And the unmistakable image of Ernest Corbett, whose son Mark is also racing.
The father and son pair of Nick and Ryan Harper, their motorized Bat Venom moving along very swiftly. All the way from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Eduardo and Ricardo Ogazi. Now, they didn't have the greatest years last year, but it looks as if they've got off to a rather good start in 2013. Now, these men are running a brand new motor, Daniel Brooks and Gavin Gray. Things seem to be going smoothly.
It certainly does, and having a look at newcomers Philip de Vries and Johan Fullion, with the latter experiencing his first time out as navigator. Coming up in the distance is Mogre Mobile from Botswana with Zelda Niemand, and the pair using a new Porter this year.
Class P champion Colin Matthews and Alan Smith, they're in the Century CR3, moving very quickly.
That car sounds fantastic as well. Let's see where this took them in the overall results. And I'll bring the top three to you. It was Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell, followed by Herman and Vichard Sulvalt, and then the brothers Daniel and Louw Zeely in their Porter.
What really impressed with me is the sort of attention to detail and the money the guys are spending. Everyone's looking at their own rigs, they're looking at their own vehicles, new branding, new looks, new cars. You know, that sort of just shows the sport's going somewhere. The interest in it is just phenomenal. Just exactly where we want it to be going.
With the prologue done and literally dusted, it's on to the main race, but first some last-minute tweaks and adjustments to the cars, as well as a standard technical scrutineering procedure for safety purposes.
Many eyes on Lance Woolridge, who at 21 is looking to become the youngest driver to win a national championship cross-country race. Of course, he will be doing so in the brand new Ford Ranger.
It's an excellent car. We got the new 5-litre V8 Mustang engine. So from that point of view, the power is excellent, sounds excellent. And then on top of that, it's a whole new kettle of fish with the handling and suspension of the car. That's just completely different to the old car. And I think that's also where we make a lot of sound.
Nothing but focus amongst the drivers, particularly from Gibson and Campbell, who will start on pole in the specials.
I'm going to race my race, I'm going to race the specials, but yes, if they hold me up, yeah, we'll push them. The weather conditions look promising for us. There's quite a lot of wind blowing, so hopefully not too many delays. If we can just maintain today, it'll be a great start, you know, and if we can just keep the momentum and hopefully just keep the points obviously building, maybe we'll hopefully get a podium or even a number one at the end of the year.
The Tarleton International Raceway crosses a large area of farmland, with the race made up of extremely rocky terrain. The course is 160 kilometers long, which the drivers will have to complete twice, with the DSP sandwiched in between.
Excitement mounts as we look at that track. We'll be back after the break with some more Donaldson cross-country action.
April on Supersport. The fun and games begin as the big hitters light up the IPL. Yamaha's Rossi and Lorenzo launch into what could become an epic rivalry. And the magic of the Masters returns at Augusta National. In April, IPL, MotoGP, the Masters, La Liga, FA Cup and Vodacom Super Rugby. In May, the world's best athletes are back on track in the Diamond League. Can Maria do the double and Rafa make it 8 at Roland Garros? And after winning in Vegas, the Blitzboker are eager for more. In May, Samsung Diamond League, Roland Garros, and the Sevens World Series. In June, the Barks are back to fight it out against the Scots and Italians. Tiger and company look to stop Rory from lifting a second US Open trophy. And Africa's eyes will be on Nigeria in the Confederations Cup. In June, Castle Incoming Tour, US Open Golf, and the FIFA Confederations Cup, live on SuperSport.
Welcome back to Tarleton International Raceway for the RFS 400, round 1 of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship in Magaliesburg. Off first on pole are Woolrich and Huxtable, holding just the slightest of leads over Deploy and Janse van Vieren.
The pair in the BMW did extremely well to start second, considering that their spare fuel pump died 30 kilometers from the finish in the prologue.
24 seconds later, and the defending champions in the production vehicles, Foss and Howie, get their race underway. Off goes Rundle and Moore, and they're closely followed by the other Ford Racing Ranger of Visser and Badenhorst. Here we have our first special taking off, the frontrunners Gibson and Campbell.
Woolrich and Huxtable out front in their Ford Ranger. The pair enjoyed a fantastic prologue with the youngster describing as a typical RFS route. We're about 50 kilometers in and they're absolutely motoring through the course. Heavy sand laden throughout, but they seem to be handling it fine. But just as I say that, they've overshot a left fork in the road.
Bad mistake from the team. They'll be wanting to rectify that quickly. Much better angle now, but in the distance you can see the pair of Deploy and Janse van Vieren. They're not going to make the same mistake, meaning we have a new leader.
We're on board now with the men in the BMW who must be thrilled with that error from the Ford team, and they won't be giving up their position in a hurry. Deploy easily navigating the right-hand hairpin.
We're back with Foss and Howie, currently in third but quickly gaining on the front runners. The pair of course finished 10th at Dakar 2012, a great achievement considering it was their debut year at the South American race. They didn't quite enjoy the same success this year though, as they were forced to pull out in the first week.
Yeah, whereas teammates Janiel de Villiers and Dirk van Zisvis finished in second place, bettering the third place they achieved in 2012. Back to Foss and Howie as we ride along with an exceptional view here of them in their Castrol Toyota Hilux.
Well, trouble here. It looks as if Rundle and Moore having some serious problems in their Regent Racing Nissan. Spinning out completely, and it looks as if they're going to miss a lot more.
Yeah, it looks like they've stalled as well, which is certainly going to cost them some more time. Nothing too serious for the team once they get it fired up again, but they are going to have to give way to some of the traffic behind.
Included in that traffic, Visser and Badenhorst overtaking in the second Ford, as well as Gibson and Campbell in the Porter. Here we have Visser and Badenhorst in the second Ford, leaving a trail of dust in their wake. Following close behind, the prologue leaders in the specials, Gibson and Campbell in their Dirt Sport Porter.
Yeah, and always good to see strong crowds at South African motorsport events. Now, we haven't seen much of the Toyota team of Berthold and Rousseau, although in fairness they had a dismal prologue, breaking their side shaft in the process.
Good to see Malcolm Koch back, taking part in his first race since TDR 1000 last year.
Sulvolto hasn't slept much, having only managed to finish his brand new Cobalt Striker LS3 motor on the morning of the race. It looks in good nick though, as he keeps up with the pace setters.
Neil Woolrich spoke earlier about how strong the field is, including the privateers such as Dion Fenter and Ian Palmer there in the 4x4 Megaworld Toyota Hilux, closely followed by Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson there in the Regent Racing Nissan Navara. Former champions Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux, they enjoyed a hassle-free prologue in their Toyota Hilux. Slick handling there from Visser, easily maneuvering his way through the hairpin. Closely followed by the Harpers, though they're taking that turn a little more cautiously, making their way through the heavy farmland.
Johan van Staden, who said he thoroughly enjoyed the prologue but admitted that he would struggle to compete with the top special production cars. On board now with Brooks and Gray, who are lying fourth in class in their Ducatis Properties bat.
Beautiful aerial shot of the bat of Brooks and Gray, who unfortunately experiencing nothing but dust at the moment. They're lying in fourth position. Just behind them, the Magalies. They're lying in fifth. Nice position to be in, a massive improvement from what they did in 2012.
And for the first time, we're seeing the other Castrol Toyota Hilux of Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy, who started from 16th but steadily making their way up the field.
Over in Class P, Thompson and Zamatin coming first in their Zarko Magnum. Not far behind them, the Horn brothers, Johan and Van in Class D, but they seem to be battling with traction.
And the first half of the loop is completed as the drivers now head back to the designated service park, which is a 50-kilometer run for them.
Back to the action. The BMW of Deploy and Janssen van Vuren still hold a slight lead over Woolridge and Huxtable. Not much to choose between them as the teams take the left through the gate. On board now with the Ford Ranger, visibility extremely poor, but not poor enough that you can't see the oncoming car of the BMW. It means that they followed suit after the BMW wrong-slotted. The Ford taking second place, or could they be first? Let's see if it will cost them. It seems as if it certainly did. There we see the Castrol Toyota Hilux of Force and Howie, the defending champions. They're not defending champions for nothing. Superb reading of the road book from Howie as he and Foss now have a slim lead over the Ford. Woolridge closely followed by the BMW, who have now dropped from first to third. On board with the BMW and nothing to choose between the front runners. Although all three cars seem to be going in different directions. Massive confusion now, although Van Vuren pointing, waving his hands fast and furiously, it looks as if he may have identified the correct route. No one seems to know exactly where they're going. Extremely rocky terrain. The Castrol Toyota deciding to go in an opposite direction, but not so the BMW. Taking the initiative, and it looks as if they know exactly where they're going now, and could they have taken the lead with that step? It looks as if they have. A turning point in the race, new front runners, but here we're back with Foss and Howie.
Yeah, it looked like they do things a little more traditionally by finding the gate this time, but they have stopped out on the road there. I'm not too sure what the problem is. It could have been a consequence of that trip early on over those rocks.
No such problems for Bertholdt and Rousseau, who've recovered from their side shaft problem. And here we have the leading special, Gibson and Campbell, who of course started from pole after the prologue.
It's been a frustrating time for Chris Visser and Jappie Badenhorst, who discovered a faulty switch which had been causing a misfire during the prologue.
Back with Malcolm Koch, who's doing superbly despite his rustiness. It's as if he never left.
And more action from above here, and nice to see there's still some courteous drivers out there, Derek.
The man letting the traffic through, Johan van Staden. Looks like his earlier predictions about being unable to compete against the top SPs starting to ring true, although granted, he was up against a special.
Speaking of specials, here we have Daniel Brooks, who said he was going to take it easy running in his new motor. Doesn't look that way though, with him and Gavin Gray lying third in the specials class.
Trethui and Wichman, both of the men from KZN, and their recent additions to the Donaldson Cross Country Championship, doing pretty well as well.
Back to productions, and Thomas Randall going along nicely despite picking up a puncture early on in the loop.
Van Staden again, slowly getting used to the rigors of a production vehicle, having raced in a special for so long.
Having a look at the Harpers, some nice driving through the gate. They're looking very, very quick. Definitely contenders, although still some way behind the leaders Gibson and Campbell.
Newcomers Philip de Vries and Johan Viljoen getting to grips with their car and their maiden outing. and looking comfortable too amongst the front runners.
And Glenn Gibson, brother of Clint, with Clint Brook as his navigator, making his way through that gate.
Plenty of spectator points out on the route, and here's one getting a front row seat to the racing of Anthony Taylor from Castrol Toyota, up and running again after enduring a flat earlier. Finally, we see the celeb team of Rutherford and Heinz Winkler doing very well. They're lying 10th in Class SP, while Jason Venter and Vincent van Alleman in Class D, they've taken the lead from the Horn brothers.
Still the leaders in Class P is John Thompson and his new navigator, Maurice Zamatin.
Gary, I don't know about you, but I'm very happy to be where we are, not out there. The dust looks uncontrollable.
Yeah, certainly so. And of course, it's affecting visibility, making it very difficult for the drivers to find their way around.
You definitely want to be first in that position and not second. Leading in Class E, we've got newcomers Douglas Fear and Tony Krauser. They're experiencing their first national championship cross-country race.
And it's loop one done, off to the DSP. The BMW of Duploy and Janse van Vieren take the half-time lead, so to speak, 4 seconds ahead of Woolridge and Huxtable.
Long grass and rocks everywhere, so there's been lots of mistakes, lots of changing positions.
The drivers can enjoy a 15-minute break and get a bite to eat while their cars get seen to. Fast and Howie held the lead for a short period in Loop 1 before a puncture put them back.
So it's tricky, but the route is open now, so it will be a little bit easier for the lead cars this race, this lap, but we've got to see if we can catch them now.
And the top three after the first loop, it was the BMW of Christian Duploy and Henk Janse van Vieren, followed by the Ford of Woolridge and Huxtable, 4 seconds behind. Third place, the Toyota of Berthold and Rousseau. And in the special vehicles category, after a heroic climb on the first loop, let's hear from Evan Hutchinson.
Yeah, it's a good route, very dusty. We battled, we passed 33 cars in this lap. We've come in, I think we're 4th overall.
Special vehicle category was led by Gibson and Campbell, followed by Hutchison and Stassen, and of course then it was Brooks and Gray.
And we're off for Loop 2, Woolridge and Huxtable, hot on the heels of the BMW. In the specials, Gibson and Campbell running away with matters. They're well out in front. It really has been a superb performance from these two men from KZN. They've been knocking on the door for quite some time now, and if all goes according to plan, this could change their fortunes. Still very much in the hunt for a podium finish, we have the Ford Ranger of Visser and Badenhorst.
Kockenberg have climbed into the top 5 and are fighting for a podium. The DSP looks to have done their highlights the world of good.
While Gibson and Campbell lead the specials, Evan Hutchinson is tearing through the field. We heard from him a little earlier. He and Stassen on course for a podium despite starting in 16th place.
And Berthold and Rousseau are in contention in their privateer Toyota Hilux, which they'll be swapping for a new car by the 3rd race of the season.
Well, the old one doesn't seem to be doing too badly. Lance Strathrui and Carl Witchman, they're currently 3rd in Class A. Just behind them, though, the team of Daniel Brooks and Gavin Gray. They're lying in 4th position.
And a strong contingent of drivers from KZN, Strathrui, Brooks and Gibson, all representing the province. And despite a constant misfire and a puncture, the Harpers are well placed in 5th spot, while the Vries in Viljoen are just behind them.
The dust continues to blaze a trail through Tarleton, and the cars certainly are starting to feel it. Peter Ruthven and Leandra Pinot doing very well in their Rubicon racing bat. The Castrol Toyota Hilux of Taylor and Murphy, they started in 16th place, but they've managed to fight their way up, and they're currently just outside the top 5.
Yeah, the dust is having a serious effect on the drivers, although Quinton Silverveld looks to be going strong and having recovered from gearbox trouble.
Having driven in a Toyota Hilux last year, Lo de Bruin and Rian Kreiling are discovering the luxuries of a diesel Ford, while they're closely followed by the husband and wife team of Morris and Yolinda Ferree in their PHP bat.
And in Class B, the race is still being led by Thompson and Zamatin.
Those two moving along very quickly, as are Class D leaders Jason Venter and Vincent van Alleman, another one of our privateers in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux, all the way from Klaksdorp.
8th in SP is Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson, who have moved up from Class A to SP in order to prepare for a Dakar attempt in the production vehicle category in the future.
Well, they're lying ahead of Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux in their Toyota. They're currently in 9th in SP. Certainly hasn't been a great day for the defending champs from Castrol Toyota, Foss and Howie. A puncture in Loop 1 not helping their cause, and they're currently well outside the top 5. Leaving a trail of dust, and Foss coming perilously close to flipping their vehicle. Can't imagine it came out unscathed there.
The new leader in Class E, current champion Dirk Putter, having swapped his faithful championship-winning Toyota for the ex-Woolridge diesel Ford.
Terrible news for Deploy and Janse van Vuuren, forced out of the race with just 10 Ks to go. And what does that mean? What a moment for the Ford team as Lance and Ward Huxtable claim first place in the production cars. Smiles and celebrations all round. Former SA champ Neil must be a very proud man and dad, Gary.
Absolutely no doubt about it, and a superb performance from Ford too, claiming a second place with Visser and Badenhorst. In the specials, Gibson and Campbell led from start to finish, finally claiming a national championship win in the process.
Yeah, it went well. We started off first and we battled in the long grass. We made a wrong slot and Christian passed us. He made a mistake, Duncan passed both of us. There was lots of changing of positions, and then we settled down. We were behind him for quite a while. Came into the DSP, had a puncture, we were right behind him. We went out into the second lap. It was very dusty, but we stayed just out of sight of his dust gap. And then unfortunately for him, he snapped a trailing arm about 50 Ks from the end. So we were right there, so we were able to take the opportunity and kind of plain sailing from there to the end.
We were at 6th place for quite a bit, and then we started losing tires. 25 Ks out, lost a tire. At the same rock we hit that blew out the tire, it made our bonnet come loose, and the bonnet was flying up. I had to loosen that and throw it in the field somewhere. So there's a bonnet lying in the field. That was exciting. I've never been shook around so much in my life. My body is aching. I feel like I was thrown in a tumble dryer. But it's a big rush. There were parts of it that we were just flying over the ground at like 160. Hard lefts and rights, drifting on the ground. It's an amazing experience.
Final results in the production vehicle category. What a win for Woolridge and Huxtable in their Ford Ranger. Another Ford coming in second with Chris Visser and Yapi Badenhorst, while in third place Malcolm Koch and Johan Berger in their Toyota Hilux.
Let's catch up with the special category winners.
It was fantastic. Qualifying is definitely, I suppose, the most important part of the race. And we didn't make mistakes. Gary called him on the button. The car didn't miss a beat, but I thank the team for preparing a great car. Your schedule was also apparently very accurate, and the marking was good. So in all, everyone had a little bit of dust today, but we managed, and we kept our cool, obviously, when things were a little bit tough, obviously with the dusty conditions, and we came to number 1, which is fantastic.
Simply a brilliant victory for Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell in their Porter. Evan Hutchison and Danny Stassen enjoyed a superb race, coming in from 16th position to claim second spot, while Lance Trathui and Carl Wichman made up third. Next week, we look at the races within the classes,
the growth in the sport.
We meet up with 2 promising youngsters,
and we take a look at the Northern Regions Championship.
Don't miss Inside Cross Country, brought to you by Donaldson, right here on SuperSport.